All right. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Sprint 37 review for SSW rewards and the Sprint 38 forecast. Okay, so the sprint goal for Sprint 37 was to do this large PBI, which was called NDC Porto, lots of crashes, and because that's important, I'll just look at that. So essentially we had tons of crashes at NDC Porto, and it was from lots of people using the app, more than we had ever had before of concurrent users. And so JK did a lot of work to dig into what was causing that and how we can fix it. And I will not go through all of his notes here, but he has essentially fixed a lot of things one by one. JK, do you
Wow.
just want to say briefly the problem with the queries triggering like cascades of other queries that were causing it to crash? Just in 30 seconds. You're muted, JK.
Apologies. Just simplify some of the queries that we had took like 200 megabytes to complete and a lot of SQL compute. We only had 2 gigabytes on SQL Server, so only a couple of people doing the same query was enough to basically put SQL Server into panic mode. And from that point onward, anything that depends on SQL Server was infinitely, exponentially slower. So this is why we saw a lot of SQL Server timeouts. So the main focus was to optimize those queries and make sure that we can have at least one concurrent user being able to use like constantly refreshing one endpoint, like leaderboard, getting user information and things like that to be that stable. We are currently at most of the endpoints going from unable to handle one user doing that to be able to handle at least 10 users, which is in range of 20 to 200 times faster than before under significant load, which is like before it was 0% success. Now we have thousands of successful requests. So yeah, but there was a lot of different things that I had to do to in order to achieve that.
Great. Yeah. Awesome work on that one. So that was the sprint goal, and it is done. The sprint was 1 week long. Our project is here in GitHub as a GitHub project. And I am the product owner. It used to be Adam. Scrum Master is me acting as Scrum Master for now. So doubling as the product owner and Scrum Master. We had myself, JK, and Vlad.
Sorry, Seth, just before we jump on to all the details, I assume, like I'm just trying it out, and it is looking nice and fast, the app, the prior app. Is there anywhere in the app that I should notice anything specific? Like I'm clicking around, everything's nice and fast, but is there anything to actually call out to look at?
No. Essentially, the problem was that if you clicked around fast enough, like if you tried to hit the same endpoint like every second, it would crash. Let alone multiple people doing that at once. And now it can handle, JK just explained that it can handle 10 concurrent users refreshing the same endpoint like once a second, which is a large improvement from before.
Yeah, I'm clicking everywhere. It's very fast. Yeah.
Yeah, we went from being able to do 0.09 requests per second to now upwards to 49 requests per second, which is a significant boost, and that's under load. I mean, it means that we are trying to make as many requests as we can.
Okay. Now, the code you improved of other people's, did you go back to them and show them what you changed?
Not for all of them. For some of them, I did mention.
Okay, all right. Because I'm going to guess some of this stuff Zach did, and you should run through what you did with him.
Yeah, and also there's some issues with over reusing the code, not just from the backend, but also for what we're trying to return to mobile app, which means that we still have a lot of things that we can improve for NDC London, but the biggest burning things are now, we shouldn't have major performance issues for NDC security. We shouldn't be having the server being unavailable because of number of people.
All right. Let's keep moving along. NDC security starts in 2 hours,
Okay.
and it's cold.
Moving on. Yeah, I imagined. And what time is it going to get light?
Oh, it's like midnight right now, even though it's 6 a.m. Yeah.
Yeah. So that lots of crashes one is done. Vlad needed to fix. Vlad, maybe you can say this one better, but the deployment pipeline was broken both for in Azure and for the Android and iPhone store, and so he had to fix those before deploying any of his changes.
Yes, fundamentally, when we got this project, we had a lot of problems with pipe experience, and not a single pipeline actually worked, not one. So in these 2 sprints which we had so far, we had to first fix the API to actually deploy, then we had to fix mobile app, and that's fundamentally that. Just continuously finding out something which just stopped working somewhere before main JK joined on this project.
Okay, so that's those 3 deployment ones, and then the last one we had is this web API caching one, which was another attempt to improve the scalability of the app when handling a lot of users. Essentially, too many queries were being run at once. You guys tell me if I'm wrong, and caching some things made it so that it was processing a lot less at once, right? Was this for the leaderboard, JK?
That was for the leaderboard and for rankings. When you get
Leaderboard and rankings.
Yeah, when you get an individual user, it recalculated the rankings, which took a lot of resources and rarely changed.
Okay, good. So those are the ones that were done. We have 3. I'll go away. We have 3 that are in progress. UI updates to the network page, and then a login error that Vlad has been working on but has not been able to reproduce. So we don't know if it still exists or not, but it's specific to logging in with Microsoft accounts. And then JK is load testing. That's the last one there, which is also in progress, and he has been doing load testing, but it's not done. He wants to still do more.
What are you using to do load testing, JK?
I use Bombardier as per SSW rules for performance testing.
Okay, awesome.
Okay, moving on to application health overview. So correct me if I'm wrong, JK or Vlad. The failed requests would be the testing. Is that right?
Yeah, those are load test, the spikes that we're seeing.
Yep. So server requests almost 20,000. So that's a cool amount of tests.
And what you can see is when I tried to crash in January 20th, we have like 500 errors. Similar test before was 1.5 thousand. So it's still possible to crash the server, but you need to put far more resources. Like you need to try to crash it.
Right. Oh, that's good to know. In the top left, the pink graph, the first peak is very high, a lot of failed requests. The second one is lower, and the third one is even lower, which means they're getting less and less failed requests over the course of all JK's tests. So
this is almost when you try to DDoS the system in order to get those errors, which is not something you would expect from regular use, even at high loads.
Okay, moving on to app health from App Center Diagnostics, which is for the iOS app. And Vlad, did you get this? Do you want to explain it briefly?
I think JK got that one.
JK, is this for the app in production?
Yes, this is for the app from production, and we haven't seen any crashes in the last 3 days for
Yes.
iOS.
Okay, so right.
That graph is
So
for
yeah.
the month actually.
right, this is for the month. That's right. Yeah.
So that's why we see there were a few crashes, but not in this week.
Okay, moving from iOS to Android, we have a spike of crashes
Mhm.
that looks like today. Is that from
Yeah.
one of you testing?
Yeah, it was yesterday and today because we identified yesterday that issue where, well, actually we identified 2 issues. One was that when you click a certain button and, for example, for social media and you have an app
Oh
installed
yes,
there,
that's right. Yeah,
it
that's
would
crashes
crash, and that's my
from you
testing to
testing
replicate
the
it.
social media ones.
Yeah.
And then we have a PBI for that social media button crashing, which is in the next sprint. So that's what that spike is from.
The work is actually done. It can already be deployed for that button.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so moving from application health to number of deployments, we had 4 deployments to the API, 1 deployment to SSW identity, which is a separate project but handles the auth, 1 deployment to test flight, 0 promotions to production. That is the 1 deployment to test flight, and we're waiting to push that to production, and 0 to the admin portal, which they did not do any work on. We did not do any experimental work this sprint. Moving from the review to the sprint retro. So the things that went well, we have performance improvements by more than 100 times, which is great. JK and Vlad can now work on the Maui part of the app, so the mobile app, not the API, because they fixed the mobile deployment pipeline. And we have had a few people in SSW test the app, and everybody has given it high ratings, which is great. I think there was nothing lower than a 9.
Okay, I think you should just put, okay. I think you should put the number of testers or the people. I put in brackets, Brady and John for that one. I'm just curious, why are you doing the sprint review summary in GitHub issues rather than in an email?
Because we're doing the sprint reviews and GitHub issues, because that's how this project has been done.
Okay, all right.
I didn't know I should do it in email.
Is there still the email address that gets added to this so that you get your stats?
I get my stats.
Yeah, you end up on the sprint review Power BI report.
I normally copy this content and send it as an email.
Oh, do you? Oh, I see. Okay, so.
But I didn't know there was an email address to add. That sounds like a better way.
Oh, yeah, you can have a talk to one. Does anybody on the call know how that works? No? All right. Well, there is an email address that is always CC'd on the sprint review summaries, and that's how it ends up in Power BI. Otherwise, that record wouldn't exist. So you can call up Yuli after this and just make sure you're doing it the right way, Seth.
Yeah, it's SSW sprint reviews, but I didn't know you could add them on GitHub.
Maybe you can't, but I think you can.
Okay, right.
The other thing I would just mention there is, so put the people's, yeah, that's good. You got 3 test passes. And I would say not doing a deployment of the mobile app is probably a negative. Or
It's already there.
Yeah, or alternatively, it is okay not to, just make sure you get an okay about that. Because you just want to make sure the people that are going to be using it know that's what the call is. Because I can't tell you, I've checked the App Store every day for the last week. Keep wondering, all right, is it today?
Right, because you expected all the changes were going to be in the mobile app.
Yeah, and I knew it was getting
Right.
close, so I knew, it's getting closer. Like the first thing I did this morning, woke up, I checked, is it there?
Okay. So I'm going to add as an improvement for the next sprint, deploy.
You should deploy today.
Today. so we can find any bugs at NDC security before London.
Before NDC London.
NDC London. Okay, and that is the end of the sprint review.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Moving on from the sprint review to the forecast, we'll do quickly.
Okay.
We have added 3 sprint goals for this next sprint, which does sound like a lot on its face, but I'll just briefly explain why. First one is load testing, which is very important, but is halfway done or so. And so that was obviously going to be a sprint goal. And then the other 2 are the biggest fixes that we are doing to the mobile app, which is crashing on the socials buttons and then crashing when clicking on staff who doesn't have a user record anymore. Like if somebody clicked on peers, it will crash. So something about his profile not being deleted, but his email address being gone or something like that. And those 2 things Vlad has already fixed, but we are just waiting on the deployment to be done. So
Not the second one. Not the second one.
oh, sorry, not the second one, just the first
Only
one.
the first one. The first one is ready to go.
So that's why we have 3 sprint goals, because 2 of them are, or one of them is 50% done, and one of them is almost all the way done. So we
Okay.
think that it balances okay.
Now, is anybody aware that Jeffrey's been working on the identity server stuff? Okay, he's been working on identity server stuff. And I just wondered if that would affect you guys, because SSW Rewards uses SSW identity. So,
Adam, Jeffrey wasn't actually doing any work on it yet. He was just familiarizing himself. But me and him, we have a chat together where we share information. Yes.
you had a chat, or you will have a chat?
We have it already.
You have had it. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So, and but he's now working on identity, right?
Yeah, he's our product owner.
Okay.
Well,
all right.
he's a
all right.
product
Right.
owner of identity.
I didn't know he was
Most of
working on
work
it.
is done by me.
That seems really important. I didn't know he was working on it.
Okay.
Do you, Vlad and JK, do you need like, I don't know, do you need to do a sync with him or something?
Well, it sounds like
Uh,
Vlad is already up to date with it.
Yeah,
so
okay.
it's good.
yeah.
All right.
So far, the changes which we had to do to identity server, I did that.
Okay.
And,
all right.
Yeah.
All right. I won't list every single PBI we're doing next sprint, but we want to see if we can reproduce the one remaining login issue. All the rest have been fixed, but there's one remaining. We want to see if we can reproduce and fix it, and do more load testing, and then a bunch of improvements to the mobile app. And that's essentially the forecast.
Right.
The backlog that everybody is working out of is in this GitHub project here, SSW Rewards. And we are excited to see how everybody uses the app at the conferences, and if it does even better than before. So thanks everybody for watching.
Okay.
See you later.
Bye.